Today's episode is brought to you by applaudable.net.
I personally think that by having those younger players come in and playing a men's league, that they're going to develop better as a player than playing against their own age group, in college where they're 18 to 22.
So we've already got some people asking questions. I knew it wouldn't take long. So, so this is the idea of live streaming with friends. Is that the idea is while I say live streaming with friends, I also mean with other people, and I appreciate those that have rocked up. So we've got Kobe Freeman, who actually spent some time in a suit for the Perth Wildcats, but not as a player, as one of the crowd guys, for the local radio station. So he says, "Hey Rob, you were the first Wildcats coach he watched," he said. And he's a hero over here. So that's a compliment. So nice to hear that. So yeah, and then you got Ivan Grub Newton, who's been watching every week. So shout out to him. What's your favourite basketball movie or book, mate?
Oh, geez. It's one of those things. I read so many different books. Like I'll read a basketball book. I flick through stuff. I mean, I liked Phil Jackson's 11 Rings. John Wooden, Call Me Coach. Yeah, I've been reading that, and a lot of that's to I'm writing a book at the moment, so I'm trying to look at some of the greats. I've been reading those books there. Movie wise, I don't watch a whole lot of basketball movies. It's one of those things because you do basketball 24/7, 7 days a week. I actually like to get away from it. So I actually read 4 or 5 books at once. I'm all over the place. So it could be fiction, non-fiction, biographies, stuff like that. When it comes to movies, I try and get actually away from basketball because you can get too much of it. So I can't really help you too much on that. I mean, White Men Can't Jump. I just remember a bit of that. That and Semi-Pro. That's probably one of my all-time favourites.
Yeah, it is a good movie. So you got your mate Big Joe. Didn't take him long to enter the room and say, Bevo the Bull. so that if those who don't know, I interviewed Big Joe the other week, and he's been an NBL manager for multiple clubs of multiple teams. So he says that he had the privilege of travelling with you with the emerging boomers a couple of seasons back, and shared some nice stories. And when I called you Bevo, he said, "No, it's Bull." So any stories you can share about that experience? He sort of shared the uniform one where you guys were at the dying moments trying to work out how to get your uniforms for the World Uni Games.
Oh, that was. I think we lost 6 bags. Half the players didn't have their gear. They didn't have basketball boots. They didn't have a whole lot of stuff, and it was game day when we actually got the uniform. So Joe was absolutely shitting himself. That was hilarious. But they arrived pretty much on game day and stuff like that. But that working with Joe and Adam Ford and Jamie O'Loughlin, Jamie Phillips that actually revitalised me. That you can, when you work with great people in a good program, it was actually those guys who probably got the juices flowing again. Like day in day out, we're living with each other. We had so much fun. A lot of that is can be contributed to those guys, and particularly Big Joe.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He made us laugh a lot.
So that was after the stint at your last stint in the NBL at Illawarra, yeah. So that opportunity came up pretty quick, didn't it? A month or two after the season.
Yeah, pretty much after the season. Basketball interested, and so I went through the process of applying. I thought, why not? I thought I've always been incredibly passionate about coaching my country, and I thought, no, I want to do this. I love doing tournament play. I love that type of aspect, and thought, I'll give it a go and see how we went. We ended up winning a bronze medal, and literally 1 point off the gold medal game. That's how close it was. We lost the semi-final by a point to Ukraine, and but no, that was just fabulous time.
So a question that I've had in discussions with friends, and this is one I think's probably come up, and it's a bit hard to ask you because you coach the Scottish team, and you have assisted in the men's senior program in the past. But is it an aspiration to actually coach for Australia at a Commonwealth or Olympics? Is that a goal for you that you feel is something you'd like to do?
I'd love to. It's just one of those things. That was part of the process of getting back on the horse and doing the emerging boomers. If they do a great job, that I can show that I can actually coach at that level. There's no doubt. I mean, I love international competition. I mean, tournament play is different to seasonal play as well. It's a different beast, but it's always been a goal of mine to coach Australia. And I came very, very close back in 2013. Came down either myself or Lamanis, and powers that be chose Lamanis, and he's gone on and done a tremendous job and stuff like that. But I'd love to one day be given the opportunity to do it, and that's why I want to get back coaching. Part of the process was the emerging boomers, and then part of the plan was to coach Southland Sharks, coaching the New Zealand League, because that league's become really good. A lot of NBL players are playing in that because it's a short season. And then if any NBL jobs come up, I'd love to have another crack at that if anything happens. But I definitely would love to put my hand up for the boomers. But something I have learned in my life is the higher your expectations, the bigger the disappointment. Yeah. So I'm not going to, think, oh, geez, I'll have to get the job or my world's going to cave in. It's not about that. But to answer you, long story short, I'd love to.
Yeah, that was a question from Jay Pickering. I've got another one from Mark Irwin. So we'll go one per decade, but he's asking. And I remember we've known each other for around 30 years. You probably don't remember our first meeting, but I certainly do, which I'll come back to. But he asks your opinion on the best players in the NBL through the decades, starting with the 80s.
Well, I grew up in Canberra, watching the Canberra Cannons. So Phil Smythe always comes to mind. I thought he was the ultimate competitor, the ultimate point guard. So he really stood out. During my time in James Crawford was there as well, in the late 80s and stuff like that. They're the ones that really, really stood out to me. Back in those 80s and stuff like that. When I was still a young guy and as a fan going watching the Cannons play, they stood out. As we moved into the 90s, I was involved. Just trying to think with the Wildcats in the day, the Ricky Grace, Andrew Vlahoff, Scott Fisher, those types of guys were another level. You work with those guys day in day out. I was with the Wildcats as a I call it shit kicker back in the day, learning the trade, and they were incredible people to be around. 90s, 2000s. I'd always have to go with my boy Kevin Lish. He's always up there as one of the greats, and obviously I've been with Damien Martin for a long period of time. The Sean Reddiges. You look at even the part of the national program there. There's CJ Brutons. Those guys, Kirk Penny. All of those guys. They're always the ones that I sort of jump out and go, oh, geez, they were good. And then I look at from role player perspective, like I always, believe in, when you're picking a team, you've got to have, the glue of the team and in the Dylan Bouchers, the Mick of Vaconas, those types of players, that they're not the flashy players, but they're the heart and soul of the team. And that's a Damien Martin. Type of thing. You need those grunt types of players. So I was always attracted, not personally attracted to them, but I liked the way that they played the game. And most recent, you can't go past something like Bryce Cotton. Like coaching against him was one of the few players that put a game plan together, and I had no idea what I could do. We
versatile.
Tried to manhandling, we double team, we switched, we zoned, we did whatever else, and he stands out massively there. But then you got obviously the Casper Wares and Andrew Bogut. Just over the last few years is the most dominant player the way he can dictate a game through his defence as well, through his rebounding and passing and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot of names there.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a big question.
Yeah, no, it's a huge question over 3 or 4 decades.
Yeah. So we got Danny Breen. I spoke with Danny last week. So you know Danny. So
no, Danny too well.
You have consistently had teams punch above their weight at Sea Illawarra and the Scottish team. So that's a compliment as well. What do you attribute that to? You know, having the lower budgets and the teams that are the underdogs in these leagues sometimes, and you know, how do you attribute the success that you tend to have with those teams?
I think it's always a case of trying to find out what makes those people tick. Some of those smaller budget teams, they play for the love of the game. Like there's nothing to do with money, at all. So they're not. There's no intrinsic motivation with how much money they can earn and stuff like that. A lot of the time, they just want to play hard and they want to play within a team system and play together. And that's probably the biggest things with those teams is get them to buy into the system and make them part of it. I'm not a dictator as a coach. My job is to help them to get better. And I've got a philosophy of, it's about the athlete. So it's always about trying to make them better. And I think if you show them, how much you do care for them and what you do for them, they will go the extra mile when you push them and when you ask them to do things. But I do things very simply. I believe I'm a pretty simple coach with what I run, but we're very, very good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put players or teams in a situation of that it's too intellectual, trying to outsmart the opposition. I think we just become great at the little things, and that's probably one of the things that we've done with Illawarra in the past, and particularly with Scotland was put those guys in a situation to have a lot of fun together, particularly off the court, on the court when you cross that white line. We're playing hard for each other and playing together.
Yeah, so it is one of the things you have had some teams that are seen as being underdog teams. Just want to welcome anyone that's tuning in tonight with my guest Rob Beveridge, who has over 300 NBL games under his kilt, is the way Fanfare put it. So you're not going to live that down, having your photo taken in a kilt, but obviously Scottish heritage, so that's a bit of pride there, so you're not worried about that.
No, not at all.
But so getting the call up, I think you had a teary eye because one of your goals, as we just said earlier a few minutes ago, is to actually coach the Australian national team. But to be asked to coach Scotland, what did that mean for you?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, I'm first generation Australian, so Scottish family, and I've been back there to where my family was born, and to be able to give them the opportunity to get a phone call, hey, would you coach Scotland? Like I didn't bat an eyelid. I'm very proud of my heritage, and it was something that kept talking about the passion, but it was just an incredible experience with amazing people, and to this very day, they're my brothers. All those players, will be lifelong friends, and the coaching staff and the management and the people I worked with. It was a brotherhood that we developed, together in such a short period of time, and we're on it was like a mission that when we sung the national anthem, and it was just an incredible experience, and just to see how they came together was it was a pretty emotional situation for everybody.
So I've got someone on YouTube asking, what is your biggest highlight in your career? I know you've had a few, but what do you rate as the best experiences? The Scottish team obviously would be one of them, I imagine, but what's something else?
Yeah, there's no question. Coaching Scotland at the Com Games, what we did was very, very special. But I am born and bred in Australia, and representing Australia, and probably the thing that really accelerated my career was the national junior team, the Emus, when we won the World Championship back in 2003. that was probably the most influential thing for me as a coach, because after that I then got appointed to assistant coach with the Boomers. Then we went to the Athens Olympics and the 2006 World Champs, stuff like that. So that actually, if we hadn't done so well or won a World Championship, I wouldn't have got a call up into the senior team. So that was probably, from a personal perspective, that was one of the all-time greats for me, was that. But if I go back to 2000, a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually assistant coach of the women's wheelchair program back in 2000. So to go to the Paralympics, walking through at the opening ceremony, there was 110,000 people at the stadium, and when we came through that tunnel and the roar of that stadium, it's something I'll never ever forget as well. So, I've had a few, but those really stand out. And then obviously the other one that was great for me was winning the championship with the Wildcats.
Yeah,
that was amazing. And unfortunately, to be honest, I'm still filthy for this day that we didn't win more than just one. We lost two more. With Damien Martin snapping his Achilles 5 days out, and another time he did his ankle as well, and we had illness and all of these little things like that. I mean, they sound like excuses, but I know to this day that if those guys were fully fit, that we would have won more championships, and that's probably, although it was an awesome experience, it was also a pretty massive letdown.
I mean, you had the foundation of a championship team in 2010. You won it, but you went, I think, 4 years there or 5 years there. You were like 4 times in the finals, 3 times grand final or something. Yeah. And then you parted with the club, mutual terms, from what I understand. They always say that. but yeah, you went to Shanghai, coached the Shanghai Sharks in the CBA, and you can't stay away from the name Sharks because you're Southland Sharks, so there's something about Sharks, mate. But you said the team has the same colours too, so the Southland Sharks and the Shanghai. Well, how was your Chinese experience? What was the...
Absolutely an amazing experience, and I actually had opportunities before, like at least a year out, before I took the contract over there. So while I was still coaching with the Wildcats, we played some pre-season games against Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing in pre-season. We played them over a couple of years. So I developed a bit of a relationship with some of the Chinese teams, and they did speak to me previously about going over there, but my goal was to coach the Boomers. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to win another championship with the Wildcats. I wanted to coach the Boomers, and basically I didn't get the job with the Boomers. We lost the grand final series on our home court. Then we find out I don't get the Boomers job. And I was off contract. I was mentally, physically, emotionally. I was a train wreck at that time, and I needed a break, and I just wasn't prepared to go around. And then the stuff at Shanghai was coming up. I knew it was going to be there, so it was like, okay, what do I do now? Type of thing. I'm off contract, and so we were back and forth about what I do, and I pulled the pin and made the decision that no, I'm going to go to China. Mm-hmm. And amazing. I lived in Shanghai, a city of 24 million people. Played 3 games a week in the league. The amount of travel all over China, so you get to see how things operate, and just the amount of trainings you do. I mean, they train 7 days a week, twice a day. And it was hard from a Western coach to be able to come in. I mean, Shanghai wanted me to come in and do it the Western way.
Okay, yeah.
But their way is that they train 7 days a week from 9 to 12 and 3 to 6 every day, 7 days a week, plus they want to play games. And I was trying to make a whole lot of change, and the players, they all live together. They don't live with their families. They're pretty much owned by the CBA or by the clubs. You've got your imports that get paid exceptionally good money. I mean, I'm talking millions. Mm-hmm. millions of US dollars net for 5 months.
Yeah.
You just see to the extreme that when we're playing games, I remember our media guy said that we played a game in front of 150 million people. That you can't fathom that.
No.
Just the amount of money that's involved in the league was amazing, and you got to see games that you can't win. You go to a game and you just can't win.
Yeah.
So the players don't play hard because there's just no point. So I got to see a lot of things, and it was definitely a wonderful experience to see all of China.
I had a conversation at a program that Lamanis was at. I don't want to necessarily get him in trouble on this one, but we're talking about when the Bullets went over to China pre-season for a couple of games, and the entourage, because they were winning, so the entourage was hinting that they might want to lose one. Question mark around their sportsmanship and approach sometimes. So you're probably alluding to that. Something I thought we'd touch on too, because everyone else is talking about it. You've seen a couple. I spoke to you today of the Last Dance episodes, and even though it's 20 years ago, how true to form is that business side of basketball at the professional level with coaching and management and things like that?
It's really getting that way. I mean, it's been in the NBA forever that the coaches in the NBA, they don't pick the teams. They generally don't. It's all about the GMs and their management and their selection people, and it is purely a business. And that's the way that I've seen the change over my career. Is it's become more business orientated. That's what we're trying to say to our players, that it's not personal. Keep all the players and stuff like that, but you've got to make decisions based on budgets, based on a number of things. And generally what I've seen over the last few years in particular is that when owners come in, they're putting a lot of money into it. So that they, in their own right, whether they think about it or don't think about it, it's their money. So they want to be invested into a whole lot more. And some clubs want to treat it a bit like a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. That, okay, well, this is no good. I want trade this person, get rid of that. And I look at the fantasy league stuff that it happens right now in our league, where people are on Facebook or whatever else, and they're trading players week in, week out. Well, there's actually a human side to the game. And that's what I love about the game is you're a bunch of brothers trying to work together to achieve something special. But the change now is that you do have owners that have got an enormous amount of money or a lot of money, and they want to have a more of a say in who is selected in the team, who plays minutes, who does this, who does that.
Yeah.
And I've definitely seen a change over the last 2 years.
There was a bit of stuttering there, and I got a message come up, but people tell me the obvious. So our internet connections come good again, but we are over the internet over a long distance, and these things do happen. But I heard everything you had to say there on that. I think the other thing, the demonstration of how businessy it's become too, is the announcement. There was a board meeting of the NCAA board where they're looking at allowing the student athletes to actually take money or be compensated for their likeness and endorsements of products and things like that. You put a number of athletes into college back when you were the head of the New South Wales Institute of Sport. So how do you see that evolution for the game if they manage to do that in 21-22, which is their plan?
Yeah, well, look, I've looked at it for many years, and again, it goes back to the business side that college sport, the NBA, professional sport, particularly in the USA because of the market. When you've got 300 plus million people, it is a multi-billion-dollar business. So people don't get that, and when the product is actually the athletes. So when you're getting these, we had LaMelo Ball in our league, but those types of players, those top 30 NBA picks, they're worth millions of dollars. So people are actually paying, and they don't get 1 cent when they're in college. So to me, when it's a multi-billion-dollar, where does all the money go? I mean, it goes towards paying for scholarships and things like that. But when you're playing at a 20,000 seat stadium, week in, week out, and the TV dollar rights over there is huge. So I think it was only a matter of time before those players do get a little bit of the pie.
What I saw in an article a couple of weeks back, I don't know what the powers at play are there, but they're saying that the Next Stars program is a lure now for those athletes, but maybe the NCAA is recognising that these players may actually go straight into the pro leagues elsewhere if they're not, given the opportunity to get some income while studying, because they are worth millions, like I say, as brands.
Yeah, and again, they're just the pawn. Like the athletes, they're part of the product. So if they can keep, the very, very best players, in the college system, that'll make more money. But if they come over here, well, they don't get a piece of that. So I can see what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I personally think that by having those younger players come in and playing a men's league, that they're going to develop better as a player than playing against their own age group, in college where they're 18 to 22. When they're playing against men, day in, day out, I think that RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball and those types of players are better players now than when they first came in.
Thanks for joining us for a basketball conversation. Feel free to start a conversation of your own with other Ozswoosh superfans by commenting below. And I look forward to sharing our next conversation with you soon. I hope you'll join us again sometime. Catch you later.